In a previous video, I already talked a little bit about ambiguous pronouns, and I think I gave you actually an example of the kind of error you'll see on the SAT, but I want to revisit the topic a little bit because there's a little wrinkle that might show up on the SAT that you need to know about. Now, this doesn't come up too often, but obviously we want to make sure we can recognize it just in case it does. So, let's look at this first example. Bob and Sally tried to find his lost dog. Okay, this sentence is fine as written. Fine, right? Bob and Sally, compound subject, tried to find his dog. Well, you might say, okay, well, shouldn't it be there? Well, no, not necessarily. What if Bob was the one who lost the dog and he and his friend Sally are trying to find it, right? No problem. This is fine. Let's look at the second sentence, though. Bob and Joe tried to find his lost dog. Okay, now we have an issue. The question is, who is the antecedent? Who is the his here? Is it Bob or Joe? Now, on the SAT, this would be considered wrong. This would be considered kind of a classic ambiguous pronoun, or ambiguous antecedent, right? It's not clear what this his is referring to. Now the thing is, in, say, a story in which this sentence is part, this may not necessarily be wrong because the context would tell you who the his is here. But on the SAT, since these are sentences ripped out of their context, you have to kind of take it kind of literally within the sentence, and therefore that's why this would be considered wrong. Again, SAT grammar, real life grammar, it's going to have some differences due to the fact that they're testing certain things and they're testing them in certain ways. Okay. After the recent natural disasters in multiple states, they have called for new regulations. On first glance, this may seem okay, but again, I draw your attention to this pronoun, they. What is they referring to? After the recent natural disasters in multiple states. You might think, maybe it's the states, or, maybe it's the people in the states, but the problem is grammatically, there's no grammatical antecedent here, right? In multiple states is a prepositional phrase, so this can't be kind of a noun. That would be the antecedent. The recent natural disasters certainly aren't calling for new regulations, so the they is unstated. So this is actually wrong in SAT style because this is what's called a missing antecedent, right? It's not clear at all. It's not even ambiguous. It's just not clear what they refers to. And often you're going to see this not only with they, but with it. So here's another example. In the magazine article, it reported a huge budget deficit. Now again, we might think, oh, okay, well, clearly we know from context and just figuratively that it is going to be the magazine article or the magazine. But again, we've got a prepositional phrase here with no real noun, no real subject or antecedent that it can refer to. So therefore, we would have to change this. In both these examples, the way to fix it would be to add kind of a specific noun. So something like, after the recent natural disasters in multiple states, critics have called for new regulations, whatever. In the magazine article, a reporter, or the magazine, reported a huge budget deficit, or whatever. Okay, so these don't come up that much. These come up, occasionally. Pronoun agreement errors certainly are probably more important, but just know, again, when you see it or they just kind of hanging out there, make sure it has an antecedent, make sure it agrees with something. And whenever you see a pronoun underlined, you should always be checking the antecedent anyway, so that should help you find ambiguous pronouns. All right, we are done with pronouns. Next, we're going to move on to adjectives and adverbs.